let's say they've launched their game, 47 copies after 30 days. Something's not right. Is it dead? Is it too late? Like, what's the situation?
There's very, very few accidents in the games world nowadays. Most successes, even if they've apparently come out of nowhere, there's a heck of a lot of marketing work that goes into making a game successful nowadays. You can't just do great work and expect everybody to know about it and buy it and hit your sales targets.
Today I'm joined by the co-founder and managing director at Other Things, a lifelong gamer with nearly 20 years in creative marketing. The majority of his time in games, from breakout indies like Squirrel with a Gun to global AAA titles like Elder Scrolls Online.
The Squirrel with a Gun trailer was really, really effective. A lot of impact for that game. It really resonated well with its target audience and got a ton of views, got a lot of interaction online. If you have a relationship with a media outlet, then posting a trailer on their platform generally reaches a wider audience. Well, they've got 19 million subscribers. It's a lot of people that are going to get pinged when this trailer goes live.
We get into the best practices for key art and trailers and how to market effectively post-game launch, ending with some quick tips to stand out in today's job market.
You're rolling the dice when the game gets released because you can't expect a game in this particular market to cut through without help, without doing all the things that you need to do to market a game effectively.
From someone who has mastered in-game cinematic marketing, this episode's guest, co-founder and managing director of Other Things, Matt Hitchcock. Matt, welcome to the show.
Hi Harry, how you doing?
Very, very good. We met, luckily, start of this year. So I've known you a little bit now. We met at Pocket Gamer in London, and we've kind of stopped by a few different events together, and it's just been good to follow your journey and just very excited for this conversation.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having me on.
Sweet. So for people at home, nearly 20 years in creative, co-founder and managing director of Other Things, which is an agency that does the other things of game development. So we're talking marketing, creative, anything on that from indie to AAA. So today I've structured this podcast today when I was speaking to Matt, where we'd cover 3 subtopics. So I want to start with kind of marketing and launching your game, because Matt's seen a lot of different from his side in agency, in studios. So what it takes to like launch a game in today's market. And then we'll move on to kind of what to do when your current game isn't selling, whether it's 5 years old or 1 month old. And I would like to end because Matt's in a unique position where he's hiring right now, what he's finding in the market. So it's going to be chapters to this. So if you want to kind of skip ahead, if you're a job hunter, feel free to skip to that part. But essentially, we'll be covering kind of how to market a game that you're building, how to market a game that's already out, or how to kind of find your next job in games. So I want to start off. You recently did a really, really, really cool project. It was Elder Scrolls Online, right?
Yeah.
Could you tell me about that? Like, how does that come about? Because that seemed really, really crazy when I saw that on the feed.
Yeah. No, that was awesome. The first work that we've done with Bethesda, ZeniMax as well. Just a really, really great opportunity to bring the Elder Scrolls Online world into, well, live action, real life imagining of what that world might look like. So, we worked with the team at Bethesda ZeniMax really closely. It was a, competitive pitch, like a lot of these things are, to win the work. Thankfully, we got this opportunity. They saw the potential that we could offer. And, I feel like we did a really great job, really smashed it. We're really, really proud of the work. The team there are really happy with it. It's quite a technically challenging prospect as well, because a lot of it was like virtual production, there was green screen, a lot of post, a lot of pre-work to be done too, just lots and lots of organization, lots of different moving parts, and obviously the quality bar for an IP like that just needs to be super high. And we're all invested in it, we're all fans of the franchise here at Other Things as well, so we all want it to be as awesome as it can possibly be and as authentic as it can possibly be. So, we spent a lot of time making sure that, everything was gonna be right for the fans. There's a lot of little details in that film that, the casual viewer would miss, that we've spent a lot of time agonizing over and putting Easter eggs in there just to make sure that, everybody's served with the work that we do. You can just watch it and enjoy it as a piece of work. If you watch it as a fan, you're going to get extra bits out of it. So yeah, really pleased with how that went.
Beautiful. it's got me thinking because I saw that trailer and I was like, the amount of time that would take to make something which you could say is a very small piece of work, right? It's like a few minutes on YouTube. And it got me thinking about like trailers. So I want to open this with people who don't have their game out yet. How important is the trailer? Because at least from my perspective, when I'm deciding what games to buy, I don't instantly think trailer, but I can imagine from where you're sitting, a lot of the work is trailer led. So could you
Mm,
just paint a picture of what it looks like when someone's developing a game, they're thinking about their marketing? Like,
mm.
is a trailer 80% of the amount of headspace they should have? Is it 50%? Like, where does a trailer fit in when it comes to marketing a game?
For me, it's hugely important because it can be used in so many different places. Um, Firstly, you're going to want a trailer for your store page. That's as soon as it launches, that's the first thing that a lot of people are going to see prior to buying your game. So if they don't already know about your game, which maybe they do, maybe they don't, maybe they're just intrigued and they've landed on your store page, that trailer that you have there for that first interaction with the potential buyer, potential customer, that needs to be as strong as it can possibly be, and put your best foot forward for your game. The Steam just yesterday actually really released some updates to the Steam player on the store page, which have allowed a little bit more flexibility there. But interestingly, one of the pieces of advice that they gave in their notes around the update was that the trailers that you use on the Steam page should lead with gameplay, because that's what their research, that's what their customers want to see. They want to see the game that they're going to play, how it plays, what it's like. So that's gameplay versus some kind of narrative, slow burn, or animated trailer. That there's plenty of room for those as well in the mix. But on a store page specifically, if you're producing a trailer that you're going to use in multiple places and it's going to appear on the store page, front load it with gameplay. That's what Steam themselves are saying, and that's what I've always advised. Not always advised. That's what I've advised for quite a long time. That you need, people want to see what they're going to play.
I want to touch on that quickly because, like in my world, I just did a post today. I was advertising one of my coach's new course, and I was doing the post yesterday, and I was going to post it, and it was a LinkedIn speaking course. And when I clicked the link, her video wasn't showing up because they needed to enable cookies. And I said, well, I'm going to send these people here. They're not going to watch the video. My call to action was watch the video to decide if it's a right fit. So then we waited a day, and then she fixed it and hosted it on Vimeo instead of YouTube, so it actually played.
Yeah.
And then hearing you say that, I realized, oh wait, that trailer can stand alone, but that's actually what's going to probably be the most converting piece of content on the actual page once you've got the attention. So like, yes, the trailer can take them to the Steam page, but what I'm understanding is when someone goes to the Steam page, the trailer might be the decision maker to actually convert them.
Yeah, well, that's a trailer can serve so many different purposes in the marketing campaign. We often work with clients where we'll produce multiple trailers for the same game. All this stuff depends on budget, and how much time you've got and how forward planned you are with your marketing, which I think is something that we're going to talk about perhaps later. So I won't go too deep into now. But if you're able to produce and announce and a release date and a launch and various other kinds of trailers where just keeping people's interest, revealing a little bit more about the game each time, just building up excitement for what it is that you're making, that's going to be optimal. But I'm thinking about this from the position where you might only be making one trailer. Your budget might not be huge. This might be a double A, an indie game. There might not be scope to produce multiple different trailers of different types, and it has to be a multi-use asset. Then that's where I think your trailer becomes super important, and getting that one asset right and investing a lot of headspace and a lot of time into making sure it represents your game in its best possible light is super important, because that's the thing that people are going to see on your stores, on your socials. And it'll be a lot of people's first touch point with how your game feels to them, So hugely important, in my opinion.
All right. So if I'm going to role play now, like let's say I'm your friend, I'm an indie developer, then the game's got some traction somehow. I've got a little community, let's say, and now I'm putting a bit more money to it. and I've got a wad of cash, and I'm like, okay, I need to prepare marketing this game, and let's say the release date is in 1 year's time. I've been good. I don't know. Is that good? Is 1 year's time knowing you're going to start marketing? Is that a good runway?
So it's a lot more than a lot of our clients come us with. So yeah.
What would you say is the optimal? If someone, I think you said in the past you want to start marketing from day one, like mentally, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that is it, right? I think marketing can begin before a game's even in development. I think there's a role for marketing, in the whole pre-production of the game, in terms of research and audience analysis and trends, and just being a sounding board for the development team, and making sure that relationships in place between marketing teams and development teams is super important. I think for making sure that a game can be positioned optimally for success. But yeah, in terms of like a standard running for a game to begin marketing activity, 12 months is a good amount of time. You don't want to leave it so long that people start to get fatigued waiting for a game. But you want enough time to drip feed your content, keep it steady and high quality and interesting, and build up your community. The community thing can take a whole lot of time to build up, so that's something that you could start very early in the development process. Start, working with fans of the genre, trying to find where they are to get them interested in the development process of your game. But, when you're talking about marketing and starting to cast the net more widely, starting to try to appeal to a broader audience, then yeah, that's when you have to start thinking about producing content that's going to appeal in its own right. And a trailer is one of those things that can be really, really effective at that, as can working with creators as well to help amplify the message of your game, particularly and just almost ideally exclusively when those creators are doing it for the right reason. It's a game that they're into, it's a game that their fans are into, they genuinely want to play it and talk about it. It's not just a paid opportunity, which many of these things are, as we all know. So 12 months is a good amount of time. It depends on your budget. If you've got infinite budget, you can talk about the game forever. But if you're gonna use your budget optimally to try and get a good enough runway of interest, build up your wish list, build up your community and interest, I think 12 months is a decent runway to do that.
Alrighty. So let's say I'm being good. I've got my 12-month runway. Is there, I feel like, because there's so many different ways to do a trailer, right? And if I'm not the one making the trailer, I'm kind of having to rely on marketers that I hire or agencies on what they think is best. I'd imagine there's probably something I know deep about the game, but I feel like there's a bit of overwhelm maybe where there's got so many choices to market a game, and they've got also all the stories that say, hey, this person didn't market their game doing a trailer. It just, caught on because the game was good. It's like, I can just do that on the back end. And what I'm getting at here is, I'm wondering, could you just give us an example maybe of a game that you've worked on trailer-wise that you feel like really hit home? And then maybe we can just do a little bit of a breakdown of like what we could learn from that. Is there any that come to mind?
Immediately. I think it's kind of old. It's like about a year old now, but the Squirrel with a Gun trailer was really, really effective. That had a lot of impact for that game. Really resonated well with its target audience, and got a ton of views, got a lot of interaction online. It's also the game sold really well on launch. It massively exceeded its expectations. But that was something that we did last year. That's not to say that we've not had hits since. Obviously, we've done some great work. It's just that one was the one that immediately sprang to mind.
I'm going to bring it up for people to see, because I remember seeing this trailer on my shorts actually. So like people were making clips of this and talking about this weird game. So let's get rid of this advert for a second. And I'm just wondering, like, this is crazy. Okay, could you break this down for someone? Actually, yeah, this is a good opportunity. IGN is posting this. Why wouldn't the developer post this? IGN's not the publisher, right? Like, what happens when a trailer is done? Like, who's posting it? Like, can you explain like how this relationship works?
Well, often if you have a relationship with a media outlet like IGN, or or one of the platforms, Xbox, PlayStation, well, Switch, whatever it might be, then they will posting a trailer on their platform generally reaches a wider audience. They just generally have, well, almost invariably will have more subscribers on their channels than the publisher will have. Like in the case of Squirrel with a Gun, it's Maximum Entertainment. They have a fraction of the subscribers IGN has. You can see here they've got like they've got 19 million subscribers. It's like it's a lot of people that are going to get pinged when this trailer goes live. So if a publisher or a developer has the opportunity to perhaps give an exclusive to launch their trailer on a media platform like IGN or on one of the games platform channels, then it's always worth taking. It's worth pushing for, seeking if you can get it. It's going to you're just going to find a wider audience for your.
So how do you get it, Matt? Is that you doing that? Is that a developer emailing them? Like for someone who has no idea, right?
Right. I mean, generally, it's a PR company that would deal with these kind of media outlets and the placements or if you've got a media company working with you and buying ad placements and such like that, they might have relationships with these companies, or in-house teams might have it. It can come from all sorts of different places. It's not a part of the process that we generally deal with other things. We don't really focus on the PR or media placements for the content that we create, but a lot of it comes down to relationships and knowing who to speak to, and also have great content. If it's great compelling content, then the channels are going to want to post it because their subscribers are going to want to see it. Like this Squirrel with a Gun, it's silly, it's funny, it captures people's imagination and attention and attracts a lot of like daft comments that are in keeping with the world of the game and the sentiment that drives it. It's one of those things that's kind of easy to lean into because it's so just silly and remarkable. I think what we tried to do with the trailer was really lean into that and make it almost like absurd, satirical, a little bit unbelievable. There's comments on some of the postings of the trailer where people are questioning whether or not it's a real thing. It seems so silly that is this actually a real game, a real concept, or has somebody just created like a Rick and Morty intergalactic cable?
Just scroll down to the comment section. This looks like a GTA 5. So like. Yeah. The fact that someone's commenting this, I'm guessing this is all a good sign. So,
yeah, I think so.
What I'm coming at here is like, if I'm a developer, and let's say I want a successful trailer like this, is it my responsibility to kind of, how do I capture this in a bottle? I don't know. Like, is there a formula here to like good trailers? Because I feel like, why don't all trailers pop off like this? Isn't there a way to just kind of always make it work? Like, what's the secret sauce? Is there one?
I think the secret sauce is it's not so much something that you can bottle and sprinkle on whatever you like and it's going to work. The secret to success, if there is one, is finding the right team that's going to pull the best out of your game and make it appeal to the widest possible audience. Having people who are proven and talented, I guess, at being able to do that and then present your game in its best possible light to whoever it is that you're trying to present it to or appeal to. It's more of a craft than a science. It's without wanting to try and make it sound too grand. It's it is an art form, creating game trailers and creating them well. And so giving whoever it is that's making the trailer for you enough time and enough resources to create the best possible work that they can do is really key. Sometimes not having a finished game build can be something of a hobbling factor when creating trailers, because things get updated right until the last minute. sometimes in game development, but more often than not in game development is, it's the build is getting updated until the week before launch, or even closer. So, when you're trying to get a build of a game so that you can go in engine and take captures and create cinematics from within the engine of a game, that's when that becomes really tricky, because you might only get your optimal build right at the last minute, and then you've got to try and make all these ideas that you had work quite quickly. Obviously, if you're going like down a more CG animated trailer route, that kind of negates a lot of that, because you're not reliant on the build itself. But
we need gameplay, right? According to Steam,
you need gameplay. But I suppose there's two sides to needing the build in good time. One is gameplay, and making sure that's representative of what your final release is going to be. But also, a lot of the work that we do, other things, it's in-engine cinematics, so it's not necessarily it's not like full CGI recreations of the game world, which we do also do, but a lot of clients like the I guess the speed, the flexibility, and the authenticity of using their own build in order to be able to create cinematic scenes. Like a lot of what you saw in the Squirrel with a gun trailer is done in that way. It looks like it's been created in some sort of, it could be CG work in a lot of cases, but it is actually just us going in engine, working with sequencing and camera movements to create these cinematic scenes. It's more cost effective for the client to be to be sure, and it's also it is more authentic to the game, because it's using
because it felt good watching it.
Yeah,
It felt like this could be the game, like I don't know how to describe it, but it had the little animations. It was like, that's a gameplay animation. That's not a person making that one kind of like slow-mo Matrix style cutscene. It's like, that's just gameplay. But like you say, it feels cinematic, which is really cool. So is that like gold standard now? Is that something everyone should be looking at doing? Like, because I feel like from my side, I say I'm a numbers guy. I guess I am. Like, if one way is better, then why not just always do that way? Like, is this just not the norm for any game that has that type of stuff?
It's quite time consuming, and it's quite a specific skill set that you need in order to be able to do this kind of work. It's quite left brain, right brain at the same time. The people that we work with, that we have on staff, that do in-engine captures, they have a technical side to them. They understand how to work Unreal, how to work Unity, but they also have that artistic, cinematography side to them, where they know how to frame a shot and place a camera, and they'll do the lighting and things like that. All these things matter in terms of getting the best possible work out of a game, out of a game build. So it is kind of, I think it's kind of difficult to find the right people to do that, and that's why I guess agencies like ours exist, because we have access to a lot of people that can do that. We have the skills and the experience to be able to get the best out of the games and creatively direct them in that sense. But I think the results from it can be really good. We're doing quite a few trailers at the moment with an upcoming game called Cloudheim by Noodle Cat Games. And we're approaching that very much in that way, where we're taking a lot of cinematic scenes. We're creating a lot of cinematic scenes by going in engine. We're also focusing a heck of a lot on gameplay to show exactly what the game's like. But we've got a trailer coming out soon, the one that we're working on at the moment. We've created some really good cinematic scenes just from going in engine to do that.
Have you already made a trailer for them? Is this the one I'm just googling it here?
No, we've made 3 already, but we're currently working on another one.
Wait a minute. Why is there so many trailers? Why would you need more than one trailer? Like, why wouldn't you just make one super trailer for Steam rather than, why are you doing multiple trailers?
I think this is where you get to the. Are you going to find make sure it's right?
Is this the one you guys made?
That is not. That we didn't do this first one. So there was everything after the first one we've worked on.
What I wanted to do is get a feel of the game. Is it this one, the combat trailer?
We did do that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, and this is an example of just showing.
Right. So
Uh,
we're leading in there with some gameplay footage straight away. So you get an idea of where it is. But after that initial like flurry, slows down a little bit. We start showing a little bit of the world. But all of this stuff is shot in engine. It's all authentic to the game. Um,
mm,
we've also got a voiceover on this as well from one of the developers talking about the game itself and how it what's cool about it basically. So, but I guess to answer the question about why we've created a series of trailers for this particular title, it's I think it's back to that point about having a good run-in to launch and trying to do things right in terms of keeping people interested by slowly revealing in more depth certain elements of the game rather than
just look at
trying
this quote here. This is saying what you're saying. When I first saw the trailer for the game, I didn't think much of it until I saw the combat. I'm glad they're leaning into it a bit. I reckon this would be a lot of fun. Mm.
right. So if we tried to cram everything for a game like this into one trailer, it would have been difficult to land properly with anybody watching because there's quite a lot to it. It's an action RPG. There's loads of different elements that you'd want to pull out. One of them is that it's co-op, which you need to get across quite clearly. It's there's crafting and building in there as well. There's it's quite combat focused as that trailer outlined. So trying to say all these things in one message in one trailer probably just gets a bit mushy, and you end up not really being able to say anything well.
Mm.
So Noodle Cat knew this. So they've worked with us to develop very specific targeted trailers that will talk to those specific points around the game, which seems to be working really well. The audience are loving what we're doing. It's really good feedback for the team there. Everybody can see in real time what the comments are, what people are saying about the work as it's being produced. Because the game's not finished yet, it's not ready, it's still in production. So
and also what you said, it's an asset because, like, I'm guessing that's just one version of it on YouTube, but you could post that as a 30-second clip somewhere because it's already made. Because at least we just watched like 2 minutes of that. It seems quite modular. You can probably have the voiceover of one thing on Twitter or something. So yeah, it's interesting. It just, before we move on to like relaunching another game, I'm just thinking for the person listening to this who's like, I hear you, Matt. I've got a budget. I want to invest in it, but now you're saying I need multiple trailers potentially. Like, what do you see when you speak to indie developers or AA studios, and what do you see that they don't quite get about marketing that maybe we can kind of dispel today?
I think one of the things that it's absolutely not everybody. We work with a whole ton of clients, and we've not everybody is the same. Obviously, there's some are more experienced than others, and some are more skilled than others. Obviously, as you might expect.
This is coming from love
in the line of work, right? I suppose the thing that I struggle to understand most, or like feel that perhaps some people in charge of marketing budgets don't understand, is just quite how integral the marketing side is to the success of a game, and how much by, I suppose, not investing enough in your marketing is essentially leaving so much to chance at the end of a project that you've just dedicated years of time. A team has dedicated years and countless amounts of money to then not try and give it the best possible launch pad when it's time to go live. That's the bit that I always kind of, I guess, don't understand why a lot of people who work in marketing don't understand that, And I think many do. It's you're asking me what is a thing that some people don't understand that kind of that I wish they did. I think that is it. It's it's understanding that if you don't invest in your marketing well and early enough in a project, then you're rolling the dice when the game gets released, because you can't expect a game in this particular market to cut through without help, without doing all the things that you need to do to market a game effectively. And if you want to try and do that on a very, very low budget, you need a lot of luck, or something very special about your game, or it's just very, very difficult to do. You need expert help. That's why we exist. That's why we do the work that we do, because we can be effective at maximizing budgets. But there's only so much you can do with if somebody's got 5k to spend on their marketing budget, then you're limited with what you can actually do with that sort of money. And I understand there's a lot of small indies out there that don't have the funds or the investment to be able to invest a whole lot more money into their marketing, and that's where it does get very, very difficult in today's market. There's no two ways about it. All you can do is really focus on the things that you can control or produce more cost effectively, and hopefully you've got a great idea that's got a lot that's got the potential to fly, and you find your audience, and then the audience can help you amplify it. But it's very, you don't really, there's very, very few accidents in the games world. Nowadays, most successes that you see out there, even if they've apparently come out of nowhere, really didn't. There's a heck of a lot of marketing work that goes into to making a game successful nowadays. And anybody who thinks, I just posted something on LinkedIn just the other day saying, how did I phrase it now? I can't remember what the lead line was. It was like, to make money in games, you just need to make a great game, right? It's just not true. It's not true anymore. You can't just do great work and expect everybody to know about it and buy it and hit your sales targets. There's too much competition out there. There's too many other games that are competing. There's too many other things in the entertainment world that are competing for your attention. So a great game, if people don't know about it, is just a great game that nobody knows about and nobody buys. And that's where marketing comes in.
If you take the parallel of like any other business, it's quite obvious. Like if you tell a business owner, it's like, hey, I'm going to be the best plumber in the world. I'm like, great. How are you going to get clients?
Yeah, right.
Going to be doing great plumbing and ask for word of mouth. I'm like, that will work to a certain point. But then the weird thing for me is like when you're selling a game, it's digital copies. So you just want, you want to pull that lever of marketing. And if people are buying copies, then great. You can pull that lever even more, I'm guessing. Like, I want to segue into kind of squeezing more out of a game that's already there, right? Because the Elder Scrolls was a good example of that, where that is an older game, right? And they're still reinvested in marketing. So what do you do if your game, which is objectively great reviews, is just not selling? So let's say they've launched their game, 47 copies after 30 days. Something's not right. What's the first thing they do? Whether it's to analyze the situation or to try kind of savor it. Is it dead? Is it too late? Like, what's the situation? Tell it to me straight.
I think it very much depends on the game. If it's another kind of, Me Too standard, there's a billion of them out there kind of games with no differentiation to it, then, maybe it is just it was the wrong place at the wrong time, and it missed catching that particular wave. it could be a great game, but there's probably others out there that are scratching that itch for for users. That's one scenario. But I think there's also countless games out there where they do have a lot more to them. They do have a lot more to offer that users just haven't found yet. It's not being relayed well enough that the game has found its audience. So that's all in the messaging and the marketing of the game. How well has that game been presented to its target audience? That's the first thing that you need to look at. What's great about the game? What makes it good? What makes it better than scrolling TikTok for 30 minutes? What's cool about your game? Extract all that. How is your current marketing materials, your current messaging relaying that well? Is that what people see when they visit your store page or whatever touch points you have out there that are representing your game? And then, I think this question as well is so big because you can talk about like games like Concord where they've had millions and millions spent on them, but they've still flopped. I guess I'm thinking more about games that are maybe they're like indie games, AA games. They're great. There's a lot there's a lot to them, but they've not found that audience, and the reason for not finding it is probably in the marketing, because if the game is great, then it should be able to make money. This is the counterpoint. There's loads and loads of games out there that are fantastic, and they've just not found their audience. How they find that audience is in effectively messaging what's great about that game and getting that message to their target audience through the placement of the media, working with targeted creators, and obviously press and PR talking about their gaming to the audience that they want to speak to. There's like with anything, there's no silver bullet to making it work. But the things that certainly should be looked at first up is your messaging, and that how you're talking about it. The trailer, obviously, is that representing your game really, really well. The key art for the game is hugely important too. That could put people off right from the moment they see the key art.
What would someone be put off from key art?
I think key art is a really not necessarily underestimated, but it's something that you see done badly more than you should. More than I think you should. Yeah.
Could you give me the 101 on like key art for people listening? Like, what does it serve, and what's good and what's bad key art?
Right. So also known as like capsule art, the art that appears on a store, on a store page is specifically what I'm thinking about. The key art for a game might be something a little bit different, but for the advertising and the marketing of the game, it's generally what then informs what the thumbnail will be on for a game, or what the header banner might be on a store page, and it's the thing that's going to catch people's eyes first and foremost about a game. Here you've got some key art that's serving as marketing materials to basically try and, I mean, Rust, it's a great game. It's huge. But if you didn't know what kind of game it was, that key art doesn't necessarily tell you what kind of game it is. But
yeah, this one's more, I feel like, brand retention. It's like, hey, remember Rust? Come play it. But like this one for me is like, okay, I can understand what type of game it is. It's interesting they put it to the right instead of the left.
Yeah. I think Rust is just so huge. It's such it's a bit of an outlier. It doesn't necessarily need to do what like Peak.
Peak is a new game that did really well, but I'm wondering, did it do well? I mean, there's probably loads of factors, right? We can't analyze it, but I wonder, could you explain like this key art decision making from your perspective?
I think this is great. Having played Peak, I think it's a brilliant game. I think the key art does a really good job of showing you that I kind of know what the game is just looking at this. And the naming itself is quite logical. You're clearly climbing something. There's a few of you, and you're doing it with your friends, and you're helping each other out. and that's exactly what the game is. You know, you're all trying to climb obstacle courses essentially together. And yeah, you know, you can offer a hand, you can help somebody up, you can, you know, share ropes to, you know, to get to different places, and share your resources too to get to where you need to be. So, and you know, and the art style as well, it's, you know, it's all very, very cartoony, and you know, you can customize your characters, as you know, to whatever sort of colors and facial features and accessories that you want. It's really good.
So interesting, because now that you've said it, I'm seeing the store page so differently now. It's like, this 1 minute is what's going to help me decide whether to buy this game or not. And these are all pictures to help me get a window on what it feels like it's in a game. Like, it feels like all of these things are a lot more, not like, oh, here's a few pictures. It's like, these are $1 million decisions being made for like big games, right? Like, what's here?
Totally. Yeah, it should be anyway. If you know, it absolutely shouldn't be an afterthought. So, you know, looking at store pages would be a really, you know, a key thing that I would do when considering whether or not my game that is perhaps critically acclaimed, or maybe it's not even got that far. Maybe it's just something that people really haven't discovered, but it's good and you believe in it. Look at the store pages. Look at what can be optimized. How good can you key art? How well can you key art represent your game? And you know, it needs to also look compelling. You know, it needs to stand out in a sea of sameness. And I think that's what's quite good with the Peak key art. You know, they've got the quite colourful characters. It's quite, I don't know. There's something a little bit distinctive about it. It does stand out, and standing out is absolutely paramount in a store, like, well, any games online store, because there's just so many games. There's so
This
much.
one caught my eye. I think I've seen it
Right.
around. I've heard it's very popular, but like, you're not forgetting that once you see that. That's just weird. It just
Yeah.
it makes you think. And I'm also interesting that you said like it needs to stand out in today's market. So is it an argument that key art that was objectively performing a few years ago in today's world could be out of date, and then it might be worth like re-updating everything?
Potentially, yeah, absolutely. You know, there are sometimes trends that you see in key art as well. You see a lot of the same kind of thing happen for a while. There was, you know, a famous sort of, don't think you quite call it study, but perhaps observation of you know, FPSs a little while ago, where it was always, you know, some guy walking towards the camera with his assault rifle, and you know, behind him was you know, some sort of war scene, absolute troped to death.
Yeah.
You know, everything. You know, I mean, you know, Battlefield 6 is, I suppose, the turn of the face the opposite direction, but it's kind of it's not a, you know, it's not a, but you know, it is shorthand for what kind of game it is, you know, so it does serve a purpose. But if you want to stand out, you need to stand out, and Battlefield 6, arguably, people are going to find it anyway. They're going to know about it anyway. It's going to be huge regardless. Of course, key art matters for a game like Battlefield 6, and capsule art matters for a game.
It's
like
interesting because I'm not learning why Battlefield 6 is different to Battlefield 5 with this key art.
Right. Right. Yeah. I guess the key art is arguably less important for a huge, you know, AAA game.
Yeah, but if it's your first entry into a franchise,
Yeah.
it will be white. So I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I'm like, okay, Matt, I've updated my key art. Well, like, how are people going to go to my store page? Like, is there a way to send more people to the store page when the game's already been out? Have you ever seen people do that successfully?
That's basically where you're setting out your stall in the marketplace better if you create better key art and a better store page. You know, it's not necessarily that in and of itself isn't necessarily going to bring more people to the store, but if they're in that store and they come across your page, they're more likely to go to it. And then if you've got better materials on that page, they're more likely to convert and buy your game. So the task of getting people to actually to be interested in your game in the first place, you know, that's the that's where you get back into having to market the game in more traditional marketing campaign ways. You'd want to revisit a go-to-market plan, and actually devise ways that would work best for your game. I think there's no there's no sort of like one size fits all way to do that, but it would be a case of looking at where doing some audience analysis. Where are they? What appeals to the audience? Create materials that are likely to resonate with the audience in an authentic way, along that's relevant to your game, and then seed it as well as possible. There's so many different ways of doing that, but that's the real sort of like top line. These are some of the things that you would do. But fundamentally, it starts with a go to market plan and an analysis of the best marketing path to market.
I've seen a lot of mobile games have continuous marketing for basically years. But I haven't seen many, at least on my feed, like my YouTube shorts or my ads. I don't see many ads for games that already exist, apart from one, which is Hearthstone. I think they're running a retargeting ad on like my account or something, because it's like it literally says come back to Hearthstone, and like I get that ad. Other than that, I haven't seen much else. But
Yeah, nice, and it is interesting because obviously working on the Elder Scrolls Online trailer earlier this year, that was it's an 11-year-old game, and it's a significant push to I suppose present that game to a new audience that might not have appreciated it first time, might not have just been in a position to play it or know about it. And you do see it a lot with mobile games. Games like well, obviously Candy Crush and Clash Royale, and all these games that just continue to be huge forevermore. And but also in games like Pokemon Go, which was huge like what 8 years ago, it's still huge. It's still massive. It's just it's, I suppose it's they've kept updating the game, they've kept improving it, they've kept adding new features, and they continually market the game and let people know about it, let people know why to keep coming back and keep playing it. I think it's as we move into a world where it's like games as platforms, which I think is definitely something that we already are seeing, and with GTA 6 and the rumors around how that's going to actually play out, I think there's quite a significant chance that games as platforms is going to be quite a shift in the way that people actually game generally. And when that's the case, then how you advertise those and market the changes and the updates and the developments within those games is all going to be very interesting as well. But I think that the fact remains, if you're not telling your players why they should keep coming back, then it's easy to lapse. It's like if you stop playing a game, there are so many other distractions out there to take you away from going back to that game, that if you're not reminding your audience why they played in the first place, why they should come back, what's new, if people have got bored of it or feel like they've just done everything there is to do, then you have to remind them there's more to this game, and that's where the marketing comes in.
for sure, I think it makes sense, right? When it's a live service game, and I'd imagine if it's a game which has like a price tag, then you could redo the store page and then do maybe an event or maybe some paid ads or something. I'd imagine, because I think it's a big question, is what I'm getting at. Like, it will depend on each game, from my understanding.
Yeah, definitely. It's it's really hard to answer like in a non-specific way, because I think it is very I think the answer would be quite unique depending on whatever product you were talking about and whatever the audience was. And it's all about making things that will resonate with the audience that you're trying to talk to. And that's where we come in as an agency. We identify those things and then we make them.
Sweet. So love to move on to the final part now. We're talking about people kind of looking to join the industry, maybe get a new position in the industry, given the state. So I'd love for you to quickly share maybe like how did other things start? Why did it start? And then maybe about your experience hiring recently and what you've been noticing from kind of the better portfolios versus the portfolios that needed work, and maybe some tips for people looking for jobs. So I'd love to hear that story.
All right. Yeah, I guess to skip over like the earlier part of my life story, I spent a lot of time working at media companies, games companies in my career, and I was based in London for most of my younger years. Grew up in the north of England, moved to London after university, and yeah, spent most of my career down there. But then moved back up about 9 years ago to Leeds in Yorkshire, and took a job here in Leeds at Sky, and that's where I met my now business partner Richie. So we started working together there to build an in-house creative team, and so we were kind of like the two managers of the team, working really closely together to build and develop processes and just make this agency that was going to service creative work for that business. After about 3 years, we effectively built the team, done the job. Redundancies happened. We were caught in the redundancies, and it was a really good catalyst for us to have an opportunity to try this ourselves. We'd spoken about potentially doing something like this, as a lot of people do, dreaming away in their day job. We could do this for ourselves, and then we found an opportunity to be able to actually try that and prove that. And so yeah, we set out to do it. And that was about 6.5 years ago, and we very quickly pivoted into video games, mostly thanks to my background in games and working for games companies, and obviously a personal interest there as well, because I'm an avid gamer, always have been. And it was at a time just pre-COVID, and there was some like boom years around games. It's not been quite the same for the past few years, but I think we segued into gaming at a really interesting time where there was a lot of investment and a lot of optimism around how it was going to grow, and our business developed from there. I think we've ridden the waves, the ups and downs of the industry so far, and we're now in a place, luckily, where we've got some really great clients. We're growing the team a little bit. We've just hired a creative operations director, and a content producer. We've got a couple of other ads out for roles as well. So we are trying to just grow the in-house team a little, but our model is it's like almost like a true agency model where we want to keep things quite small, but work with a network of people that we know that freelance and contract, and then we can always pull in the right expert for the job. It gives us a lot of flexibility. It means we're always getting the very best talent for the work that's required, and it allows us to scale up and scale down really quickly. But we do still need a really strong team core, which is what we have at the moment and what we're continuing to build. That's the very short history to where we are now.
So now that you're hiring, for anyone who's job hunting right now, any observations from your side of the table?
Yeah.
Any tips?
Yeah, it's been interesting having a few job ads out there and seeing how people are applying for roles, particularly creative roles or roles that require a lot of organization. There are a lot of a lot of unforced errors I saw in going through a lot of job applications, which just made me feel that it was an avoidable way of you could have avoided putting me off at this point by just running this thing through a spell check, or having somebody, double check what you're writing here to make sure that it does actually make sense. Having somebody click the links into your portfolio on your LinkedIn page or in your CV to make sure that they're not dead links or that your SSL certificate is up to date.
So people tell me every time I ask this to do that, but you've actually just felt this right now. Like, how common is it that people don't have the right links or spelling checks? Because for me, that seems like, oh yeah, everyone should know that, but everyone brings it up. So I'm wondering, in reality, what does that actually look like? Is it that many people who don't do it?
I think it's, so remarkably common, which is, quite shocking given that, a portfolio is going to be a really key piece of work for a creative role. And, yeah, it's hard to, put a percentage on it without going through some statistics right now, but it's something that I've seen way more than I would have expected to, going through the, literally hundreds of applications that we've been through over the past couple of months, while these roles have been live. And there's something as well around how people apply for the roles and LinkedIn, and the ease with which LinkedIn allows people to apply, because there's like a quick apply button there, where it's kind of a one click, just throwing my hat in the ring for this job. I think a lot of people are tempted to just go, oh, that sounds like something like maybe I could do. I'll just press that button and, I'll go in the ring. But at the other end of that, there's somebody checking all these applications. And if your application is just completely off the mark, then, that's your name, that's your reputation. You've just shown you're just literally scattergun applying for things. There might be another role that's more viable for you coming down the line, but you've potentially just damaged your reputation somewhat with that hire by being a little bit slapdash with how you're applying for things. And
yeah, people maybe don't realize that, yes, by applying to more jobs you could get more yeses, but every person who views your CV and then decides not to hire you because, for example, you didn't read the application, they've now you've been dinged a little bit, and they add up.
Right. And it's sad to say, because it's a tough market out there at the moment, and you're sympathetic for everybody who is job hunting and struggling. It's really hard. I think most people have been there and can empathise with what that's like. It's not a nice place to be, but scattergun applying for jobs is not the answer. I think absolutely making. I guess conscious have spoken a lot about the negatives of people applying. The people who who were successful, who did catch our eye when we were reviewing all of the applicants, were people who had read the job ad thoroughly, understood it, and played back to us why they were the right person for the role. One thing that we did in our job ad as well was we stated how to apply for it, and how to apply for it was to send an email to another thing's email address with their CV and a little cover note about why they want the role or why they're right for the role. So few people actually did that. So whilst we had hundreds and hundreds of people applying online on LinkedIn for the role, I probably had more like 100 people that came through the correct route. So it's like that served as somewhat of a filter to begin with, because particularly like for the creative ops director role, where attention to detail is pretty major part of the role, not following that particular detail of the application process is a bit of a flag. So it might, if anybody's ever tempted to just not just click quick apply when the ad says apply in a particular way, I would say don't just do what the job ad's asking you to do. If the job is appealing enough that you want to apply for it and you'd like to do it, then it's probably worth spending that bit of extra time to apply in the way that they are asking for, even if LinkedIn does offer you that option of just going quick apply.
For sure. And even if that is the only way it suggests to apply, what a difference is if you find their email, send them a quick note and say, by the way, couldn't do it in the application process. Here's why I think I'm relevant for the role. And then, like you say, replay it back. I'm guessing you're going to remember them over the other 100. So it doesn't take more than 10 minutes there to become the top of a pile, from my understanding.
Absolutely, yeah. It matters, and it does make a difference. You might not hear back from the person. You might not be the successful candidate. I've in the process, if people have written a cover letter or a cover note that's tailored to this job role, I've been trying my best to respond to everybody who has done that with whatever the answer might be. Just because it's the right thing to do, but when you're having hundreds and hundreds of applicants, it is just difficult to do that as a small business, where you don't have the resources to necessarily reply to everybody. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't let that necessarily put people off writing a tailored application for any particular role, because the people who did that stood out. I paid extra attention to their application. And there's also a thing in LinkedIn where I think you can mark it as like a top job or something when you're applying for a role. And when that happens, there's like an opportunity to write a few words about why the job appeals to you. So and that's some of the people who applied through LinkedIn. Some people applied through LinkedIn and sent the email and applied that way, which is also fine. But a lot of those people also then marked it as a top job and had like a little note on LinkedIn. So when you've got like 100, 500 applicants to look through, you've got also these people who've marked it as a top thing, and it's a much smaller percentage. And I always looked at those people and read what they had to say. I don't actually know how it works from a candidate's point of view. I don't know if you get like X amount of chance to do that, or you have to pay to do that, or however it might work. All I can tell you is from a hiring manager's point of view, I did read those. They did stand out, and I did look at those applications a bit more closely than some of the others.
Even if it did cost money, you could do the equivalent of that by emailing probably the email and saying, hey, by the way, this was my top job because of XYZ. Basically, from my understanding, a little note that is clearly custom for the role would make a huge difference in. Also, I was very surprised when you said 500.
Yeah.
Wow. More. Were you surprised that you got that many applications?
Yeah.
That's so many. That's so many.
That's good. Strangely, as is often the case, the person that we've ended up that's got the role in the end is one of the first people we're chatting to as well. But it's such a key role for us, the operations director, creative operations director, that we needed to make sure we were properly doing a proper search to make sure we covered all the bases. Really difficult role to fill. So really, and also get flattered that so many people wanted to work for our little company. It's such an integral role. We just had to make sure we took the time to get it right, get the hiring right. And
sweet. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Amazing. So before we close up, is there anything you feel like we could leave people with from a marketing perspective that we maybe didn't spend enough time on? From anyone listening here wanting to kind of get their chops up, I guess, with marketing? Anyone want to improve their marketing over the next few months?
I think I think I've banged the drum quite hard about the value of marketing in this chat. Obviously, starting early, dedicating as much budget as you reasonably can to creating high quality, effective marketing materials and developing a marketing plan is something that I suppose you would expect me to advocate as an agency owner, but it's also genuinely something that I would do if I ran my own game studio or publisher. It's so important in today's day and age to stand out among the crowd, and the way to do that is to have an excellent game, but also to market it in the most effective way possible. And so yeah, any ways that you can give yourself an edge to do that, do them.
Sweet. Lovely. How can people get in touch, Matt?
You can contact me at matt@otherthingsagency.com, or through the website, which is otherthingsagency.com, or just get me on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. Lovely. Thank you very much, Matt. And for everyone at home, if this was useful, consider subscribing, maybe sharing it with a friend, and I'll catch everyone later. Alrighty. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you, Matt.
All right. Cheers.